of the most important things to evaluate a base design in Rust are its potential for online and offline defense. And in today's base, I managed to combine both of these ideas. For online defense, you'll have a perfectly visible double shell into which you can shoot HV rockets from almost any floor of the base. And every jump up inside can be seen through from special positions. So even if someone moves inside your base, you'll have plenty of opportunities to deal with them. For external defense, I added my favorite upgraded tentacles. They won't just stop anyone from getting close to your base. Even if these tentacle multi-TCs get blown up, you'll still have the perfect opportunity to annihilate everyone inside them. And when it comes to offline defense, the enemy will have a hard time too. You'll have 4 fully protected bunkers inside the base, plus 2 more bunkers on the roof. Additionally, 4 different spots to hide your main TC, and at least 3 walls before anyone reaches any loot inside the base. I even added an anti-siege system, so even if someone blows up your multi-TCs, no one except you will be able to build there. That means you can stop worrying that someone might build a massive raid tower from your own multi-TC spot. This is my new 4x4 offline shell-based design, and let me show it to you from the inside. This is quite a large base for my channel, and I just hope I don't forget to show you everything I planned. The base has 2 main entrances and 2 secondary ones. The main ones are on the left and right sides. That's where your main multi-TCs are located, 4 in total. You can order a private base from me via the link in the pinned comment. Prices are very reasonable and orders are done quickly. When you open the double door, you get an airlock. Here you have a combat spawn with 2 beds. From here you can shoot both long range and right under your door if needed. In the large boxes next to the beds, you can store everything you need for online defense. You'll use this combat spawn a lot during online raids, and honestly, even just killing someone outside before leaving your base looks beautiful, especially when it's a door camper slowly crawling to trap you. I think they won't be too happy about that. The tool cupboard is inside an HQM cube. Inside, you've got 1 sleeping bag, 4 large boxes, and 2 drop boxes for passing loot through the wall. TC upkeep is right in front of you. I know it's not cheap, but come on, this base isn't made to tank just 50 rockets. And even if someone manages to raid this multi-TC, they still won't be able to place their own cupboard here, no matter how hard they try. That's because this base even has an anti-siege system built in. Even if someone tries to place extra ceilings to put a TC, stability won't allow it. Later I'll show what the owner should do to place the TC back. But for now, let me show you other shooting positions in this area. From here, you can also control the area around your base, and if you open this double door, you'll get another peek angle behind your high external walls. So if someone tries to raid you through the compound, you'll be able to control all entrances from here. Naturally, the same setup is mirrored on the other side. Shooting from these angles while sitting is super comfortable. Only your head is visible while you see your enemy's entire body. Moving on, there are more spots for shooting here. For clarity, this peak leads directly under your main base. And that's basically it. This was the main entrance to your compound. By the way, here's also the entrance to the base itself, but for now I'll just show this peak. It can play a crucial role if you get raided through the tentacles. You can also exit to 2 different sides of your compound from here. And between these exits to the compound, there's a huge number of doors. Here you will have an auto turret and a wooden ramp a bit lower. Standing on it makes it super easy to kill anyone inside your multi-TC tentacle. Raiding you through them will be very hard. In this spot, you'll also have a combat spawn with 2 beds. Behind the garage door, there's a small loot room for 2 large boxes and a wooden ramp slightly higher. This is the anti-siege system that prevents raiders from placing their own TC during a raid. However, to disable the anti-siege, you need to break this wooden ramp on both sides. You'll need either 2 hatchets or 2 machetes for that. After that, you can safely place your TC back where it belongs. But once you place it again, you'll need to reconnect the anti-siege system to your main base. To do that, go back to your combat spawn and place a wooden ramp here. You don't have to upgrade it to wood, you can leave it twig. This entire system connects to the main base in an interesting way, and there's also an oil refinery here for charcoal. In this area, you'll have another combat spawn with 2 beds. You'll also have a window frame to watch over the area around your base, and of course, there's a pixel peak aimed at the entrance doors near the secondary multi-TC. It's almost impossible to kill you through this pixel peak, while you can easily kill any door campers who come by. Now let me show you this secondary multi-TC from the inside. It's called secondary because even if it gets destroyed, raiders won't gain anything from it. The main multi-TCs in this base are protected by the anti-siege system I showed earlier. From here, you can exit in 2 directions and even shoot if needed, though you can only shoot under your high external walls from here. Honestly, I don't think that's a downside for anyone. Here you'll also have 2 beds and a TC with its upkeep right in front of you. Notice that this multi-TC consumes significantly fewer resources than the main one. It also reduces the upkeep cost of the main TC inside the base, so it's actually important. And if during a raid your base starts getting rocket spammed, you can build a full shield wall. You can even build it higher than your base if you want. Nobody's stopping you. Although I wouldn't say having walls that tall is particularly useful, the main thing is that you have the option. I think this kind of protection against rocket spam will help you survive more than one raid in this base. And finally, we've reached the review of the main base itself, not the compound around it. Here you'll have a large battery. And make sure to remember this naked guy. The base is built on the principle of two-sided symmetry, so everything you see can safely be multiplied by 2. Remember this hazmat here. We'll need him later. In this spot, you'll have a perfect peek at the entrance to your base. On both sides of it, there are loot rooms behind window frames, each holding 4 large boxes. Now look, on this floor I have 1 blue door on this side and 1 on the other. Those are the doors that lead down to the first floor. The first floor is basically your mini basement. Here you'll have a perfect peek into your shell and a drop down to the ground floor. Behind the blue door, you'll enter the basement of this base. Pretty unusual floor, right? Despite how it looks, it's actually super convenient to use. The starter layout of this base is 2x4, so even if your team has a lot of players, everyone will fit comfortably. Every place where a main TC could theoretically be placed is marked with a blue toilet fridge. But of course, the main TC in this base is already placed, so if you find it before I show it, let me know in the comments. Also, in the corners of this floor, there are bunkers that open with a twig roof. Inside, you can follow my layout or swap the middle battery for either 1 large box or 3 DLC barrels. The main feature of these bunkers is that they can't be splash damaged. Imagine you're being raided from one side. You can just move all your loot to the opposite bunker and the raiders will get practically nothing. You probably noticed how many walls there are before reaching each bunker. From the center, you can also climb up into the 2x2 central tower. Here, you'll have a perfect peek at your entrance doors early game, as well as a path higher up. This central tower holds a ton of large boxes with super easy access. Just imagine how convenient it'll be for everyone during the wipe. And here's the second possible spot for the main TC. But for now, I've put here what I actually used to build these beautiful bases. If we move on, there are 2 lockers, 2 beds, and peeks into the shell. You can remove the glass, shoot a bit, and put it back in. On this floor, you'll also find 2 more beds and 2 smaller loot rooms with a total of 4 large boxes. Behind this door is the exit to the shell. And honestly, walking around this floor, I really feel a sense of safety. In typical 4x4 shell bases, this level is usually full of holes, but not here. I managed to make it more closed off, yet it practically has no blind spots. And you'll say, hidden joint, look, you can't shoot here, so that must be a blind spot. But remember, I asked you to remember the hazmat down below. Who's standing there? He's perfectly visible from here, and if necessary, you can ask him to lie down on the floor. By his side, there was another floater I also asked you to remember. You can kill him from here too while remaining safe. And you'll ask me, what kind of place is this hidden joint? That's exactly the site with the jump up climb located near the base entrance. I won't jump it right now, I think it's clear anyway. The main thing I wanted to show you is this peek into the shell from this side, so that's basically it, we can move on. This floor also has blue doors, but they lead up a floor, not down. So have you already found the main TC? We've walked past it several times nearby. From here you'll also have an extra peek up a floor and a small part of the shooting positions. I installed the glass here on purpose, you can remove it when needed. It's there so you can't be killed while you're shooting down. Also, you'll have 2 small loot rooms here, 2 large boxes in each, and remember that young man I asked you to remember earlier. He'll be needed later. Do you know what the biggest strength of this floor is? Not these pixel peaks like you might think. Its whole strength is concentrated right here. Just imagine, standing on the floor above the shell, you can control the lower floor, and besides that, you can control the very bottom floor of your shell as well. To illustrate, it's this spot. Remember where we ran at the very start? And you'll say, hidden joint, so what? A raider will run through there and you won't have the reaction time to kill him. Maybe my reaction really isn't great, but I definitely have the reaction to fire a high velocity rocket. And as we all know, high velocity rockets pass right through metal ramps. Your enemies most likely won't expect that. That means it won't be hard for you to catch them off guard. On the 2 other sides of this floor, you'll have a large battery hidden in this spot. and left of that spot there's a similar shooting position from which you can shoot down and at long range. Naturally, there are also two small loot rooms here where you can put everything for online defense. In the center of this floor there are two combat spawns, two beds in each. You'll have two vending machines here to flex loot, and opposite this spot there will be another loot room with an additional peak for this floor. And here's that same guy I told you to remember earlier. From this spot you can easily kill anyone trying to climb up from the floors below, or anyone coming down, since from here you can also go one floor higher, straight to the roof. And no, I haven't forgotten about the main TC. We're getting to it soon, don't worry. There are 4 turrets on the roof, 2 standard and 2 anti-heli. With this setup, even landing on your windmill isn't an option, because the turrets will instantly shred anyone who tries. Right under one of the anti-heli turrets, there's another bunker with 4 large boxes. They're placed opposite each other, and you can't destroy both with one splash. In the corners nearby, there are combat spawns with 1 bed each, perfect for respawning and defending your base. All the shooting angles here are fully protected, so no one can kill you from a raid tower next to your compound. And since the base is fully symmetrical, there are 3 more combat spawns just like this on the roof. If your team is larger, here's where you can place extra beds. Slightly above this area, you'll find a small vending machine, perfect for selling stuff to the poor. Next to it, there's 1 large and 1 small box, so you can even set up automatic restocking. The vending machine is drone serviced, so with the right pricing, you can make a fortune without lifting a finger. If you want, you can add 2 garage doors here and make the shop safe against 6 rockets, and even throw in a bed if needed. And if you ever want a better roof view, you can just jump up here. From this spot, you'll be able to shoot in every direction. Now let's finally talk about the main TC. I've shown you the entire base, but not the TC yet. Time to fix that. I decided to keep the main tool cupboard inside the shell right here, a small tucked away corner with a single door. It could hold the TC, but right now there's a freshly placed toilet instead. So yeah, that's the 3rd possible TC location. Got it? And directly opposite this spot, there's the 4th possible location. That's where the actual main TC is placed. Upkeep for it is right in front of you. For a base of this size, the upkeep is actually quite small. My first version used to cost around 90,000 metal, so this is a massive improvement. And if you're looking for something less resource intensive, I've got something for you, because today I just released my 40-second private base on Patreon. Anyone can build it, no matter their experience level. And the fact that this relatively small base has a shell will be a real surprise for your raiders. You can comfortably play solo on modded servers or duo trio on vanilla ones. And for just $7.50, you'll get access to this base, plus all the other content I post there. That's already at least 42 private bases for every taste. The link to my Patreon is in the description. Subscribe now, you won't regret it. I don't think a beginner in base building will be able to pull this one off. This design relies on a lot of advanced mechanics, but if you manage to build this base by following the guide, your building skills will definitely level up. The sides are HQM, while the rest can be metal. Since this base is aimed at more experienced players, I'll be showing the build a bit faster to make sure you can build it even on high pop servers. I recommend starting with a 2x1 starter. It fits up to 5 sleeping bags and has everything you need for the early wipe. As you've probably noticed, there's no HQM cube in this starter, so if you need another door here, just add it. I'll be upgrading straight to the final version, but you can start with stone if you prefer. Remember that 2x2 tower full of boxes I showed earlier? That's exactly where the entrance to the central tower will be. Make sure to place at least wooden bars on the windows so no one can jump inside. That's a mistake even experienced players make. Next, opposite the starter's exit, we'll build a couple of quick drop loot rooms. They'll be handy while the base isn't fully finished yet. Just keep in mind that for now, there are only 2 doors between them and the outside. If you open the double door near this loot room, you'll get a small airlock next to the single door. Now we'll add a small entrance hall and prepare the future staircase to the 2nd floor. And while we're here, huge thanks to everyone who watched my last base design, The Worker. Seeing it get so many views honestly made my day. I'm super happy that you're enjoying the content. Make sure to subscribe. Who knows, maybe soon we'll finally hit my unreachable goal of 100,000 subs. Also, don't forget, right now on my channel, there's an ongoing contest for the best base with a mini shell. If you're good at building, make sure to join. You've got a real shot at being featured in one of my next videos. I'll announce the results in about 2 to 3 uploads. As you've already guessed, we do the exact same thing on the opposite side. At this stage, when both 2nd floor exits are done, I recommend raising the central tower to 4 floors high. I'll be building it right away in its final version, but you can stick to stone for now if resources are tight. Let me explain why I suggest making it 4 4 floors tall right away. First, you'll instantly gain a huge amount of storage space for large boxes. Second, since this base is meant for more than 2 players, you'll definitely need that extra space. But that's not the only reason. At this stage, the base still lacks decent early game shooting positions. Once you raise the tower to the 4th floor, you'll get window frames there, which you can use to shoot around your base during the early wipe. If you have DLC barrels, feel free to use them instead of boxes, but the layout is up to you. I'm showing the setup that works for everyone. Next to this loot room, you can place either your tier 2 or tier 3 workbench. Once you've gathered enough resources, mirror the loot room on the opposite side. Notice the window frame that appears on the right? It's important to keep that. The free square can be used however you like. There's nothing complex in the middle here, no bunkers or weird mechanics, so add door frames wherever you want. When you decide to expand upward, close this loot room with a double door first and only then continue building. Now we place 2 window frames here and 2 full walls in this section. To make movement easier, add a half wall and a ceiling at this spot. The exit from here will go through a double door. If you already have beds, you can place them right here. Also notice that where I placed the mini loot rooms, I leveled the floor with half walls. You'll need to do the same. Now that you've got your first shooting positions, we'll start building the internal bunkers. First, add metal shelves in the middle of this wall. Then from that spot, place 7 square foundations forward. Replace the 8th foundation with a triangle foundation. After that, remove all the square ones and return with triangles. I'll immediately upgrade the ones that belong to the main base and its defense. So I recommend farming some metal fragments beforehand. Since this extension isn't connected to the main base yet, it will decay. So you should immediately build a multi-TC with a small defensive peak facing the base. That'll help you fend off raids if needed. I don't recommend building the full tentacle here yet. It would just waste resources at this stage. A couple of shooting positions facing the base will be more than enough. You'll even be able to defend against a raid if someone shows up early. Personally, I'd spend all the metal on upgrading the main base and keep this multi-TC in stone for now. You can always upgrade it to sheet metal later. No matter what kind of base you're planning to build, before starting it in survival, I strongly recommend practicing it first in creative mode. And you're lucky, I've got 3 building practice servers where you can train building this or any other base you want. My servers are free and open for everyone. However, if you want Q-skip, custom biomes, rocket gun, MLRS launcher and more, then head over to my Patreon and grab the VIP tier. VIP status is granted automatically on the server. If you'd like to save some money, scan the QR code in my Telegram bot. There, VIP costs $5 cheaper. But hey, that's a secret. Now we've reached the bunker stage. Here's a very important detail. This wall right here must be stone, and it has to be stone on every side of the base. This is needed to hide the gap that appears there. It'll disappear later once you build additional buffer layers around the base. I'll remind you about this part again later when it becomes relevant. If your bunker doesn't work, check how I place the walls on the 2nd floor above the multi-TC. They must be positioned exactly the same way, otherwise it won't function. The ceilings here must be placed from the main base. That's the only way to keep the bunker open. After placing each piece, always test that the bunker still works before continuing. That's crucial. Don't ruin such a powerful internal bunker setup. And of course, you'll need to do this on all 4 sides. Next, we move to the side where we built the multi-TC. Here, we'll make a protected entrance into the main base. Don't forget, you'll also have a peek into the future tentacle that will be built there later. Now when you climb to the 2nd floor, line the edges with full walls. Nothing complicated here yet. This area can hold a large battery for the early wipe stages. Once you finish this side, repeat the same setup on the opposite side. If you already have electricity, I'd recommend placing solar panels and connecting them to your battery. This will let you place your first turrets inside the shell, making your base a lot more secure. So we've just built the entrance to the main base. Now on each side of it, build loot rooms with 4 large boxes each. Make sure the ceilings are placed from the multi-TC, then place the boxes and add window frames from the main base. Only install wooden bars if you're confident with that mechanic. You'll need to repeat this kind of loot room in every corner of the base. Later, each of these box rooms will be protected by at least 2 layers of walls, so theoretically you can even store something valuable in them safely. Now we go to this place. If someone forgot, this is where the descent down is located. On this side, we don't have any multi-tool cupboards yet, so we just build everything from the main base. By the way, this exact spot is where your main TC can be placed. In the base tour, that's exactly where I had it. In the base tour, that's exactly where I had it. For now, there's only 1 wall separating this place from the outside, but once we finish building the base, there will be at least 2 walls on each side. To protect against any unwanted guests, you can place a shotgun trap here, and since the base is built with 2-sided symmetry, on the opposite side we need to do absolutely the same thing. Next, we move to the main entrance of our base. Here we we place a window frame and a double door frame. All these elements are connected from the main base. Keep that in mind. If the frames here don't want to snap properly, just move around a bit, jump, turn, you'll get it. Pay attention, the ceilings in this area must come from the multi-TC, exactly like I'm showing in the video. This is needed for the future peak on the jump up. Here, by the way, there will also be another additional peak into the shell, and it must be protected with a hatch frame. Next, everywhere here we place double door frames. In this spot, we put a triangular ceiling over the window frame and a single door frame right here. Now we move to the opposite side and need to do the same thing. So basically you build one side and then just mirror it on the other side. Next, we need to finish building the shell. Let's start by placing full walls on the corners, except for this spot. Here, we should place a half wall and a low wall, and do that on both sides. If you forget to do it, nothing terrible will happen. Except you won't be able to shoot rockets into the shell from the shooting floor, and this feature is actually very strong. And for the final step here, we just place ceilings coming from the main base. Now, on the opposite side, we need to do the same thing. Note that on the remaining two sides, I'm placing two square ceilings and one triangular ceiling on each side. Now, at the bottom, we need to add additional buffer honeycombs. It's all simple. I hope your foundation layout is already marked. We need to raise these walls to at least 2 stories high. Remember earlier I told you that this wall must be made of stone? It must be stone so that you can later upgrade it to metal and flip it. Once you do that, the gap will disappear and won't ever show up again. Now we need to repeat the same thing on the remaining 3 sides. After that, I recommend working on the shell itself. For reference, right now I'm standing near the loot room with 4 large boxes behind a window frame. Everywhere here we place frames for stability, except on this side where we'll need 2 half walls. You only need to upgrade the upper one. These half walls also need to be added on this side as well. Only the upper one needs to be upgraded here too. After that, you can safely start placing ramps. You have to place them exactly the same way as I do in the video. When all the ramps are in place, you can start adding double door frames everywhere here. If you have enough resources, you can immediately place garage doors in them. If you break the twig ceiling under the ramp should stay floating in the air. On this side, we also add stability frames and place ceilings. Nothing special here. Now we need to do the same for all the remaining spots that we haven't built yet. Your reference point is those 4 lower loot rooms for 4 large boxes each. Now we make the climb to the 5th floor of this base. It's actually hard to mess up here, especially if you followed the guide correctly up to this point. However, I don't recommend rushing too much at this stage, because here you'll also have a small part of the shooting floor that extends slightly beyond the main base. And if you still don't have garage doors at this stage, just place regular doors for now. Now do the same thing on the opposite side as well. Next, look. See those little gaps in the corners? On each side, we place a buffer cell with a ceiling coming from the multi-TC, and we close this area with a double door that's placed from the main base side. I recommend doing this right now so no nakeds can shoot you through these little gaps on this floor. Now, in the spots where we don't have a stairway to this floor, we prepare a space for a future battery and an exit to another small section of the shooting floor. The battery will be behind a single door frame. You'll have a total of 4 batteries in this base, so you can easily dedicate one of them just for lighting. Now, on the opposite side, do the same thing, and in the remaining empty spots, place a window frame and a ramp going toward that window frame. Now let's immediately make an exit to the future roof. To do this, remove this door and in its place install another window frame. This is needed for a peak toward the roof itself, and on this ceiling there will later be an auto turret. On the way down, make sure to place a single door frame. That's needed so that if anything happens, you can open the single door, repair the turret, and then close it again. Now for symmetry, we need to repeat the same thing on the opposite side too. As you can see, the turret has just appeared here already. Next, across from the peak to this floor, we place 2 more window frames. Here will be your combat spawn with a total of 2 beds. And do you remember that I also had vending machines here so you could flex your loot? They're placed in a pretty simple way. If on one side we have 2 vending machines, then on this side we'll have a peak toward the entrance doors to this floor. And just above this area, you'll have a loot room for 2 large boxes. I just showed you how to build 1 combat spawn on this floor, but in total you'll have 2 of them. They're completely identical to each other, which is why I'm showing it in this format. Once you're done, you'll need to close everything off with ceilings. However, there's a small nuance here. In this spot, we'll have a bunker, so watch closely how I did it. First, I place a square hatch frame, and then I place the ceiling into that frame. You need to do the exact same thing, and it'll work the same way for you on an actual server too. Next, look. In this spot, you'll have a combat spawn for 1 bed. Along with the bed, you can also fit 3 large boxes. I recommend storing everything for online defense components inside these boxes: syringes, grenades, HV rockets, and so on. Make sure to prepare a business plan and keep a hammer here just in case. You'll need them if you suddenly have to repair your base. Obviously, we need to add the same kind of combat spawn on all 4 sides. Between those combat spawns, you'll end up with small gaps. That's where your bunker will go. But please pay close attention here. For everything to work, it needs to be done exactly like I do it in the video. There's also one more important detail you might forget about. You've already built the bunker, but when you place the bunker wall, there's a small gap through which your boxes can be seen. To remove that gap, you place a double door frame here, upgrade it to metal, and flip it. Then, a bit higher, add a triangle hatch frame. In this area, place half walls and then a roof on top of them. In the center, place a window frame with glass. This one's just for visibility, not for shooting. The ceiling under the turret should be upgraded to metal, so you don't get eco-rated. But I'm sure you already know that. Now that we've finished one bunker site, do the same thing on the opposite side. Next, we need to build the vending machine room for trading. Don't forget, there should also be space for 2 additional boxes. They'll be placed on that triangle ceiling. I strongly advise you not to change the layout of this vending machine room. What I'm showing you is the best version. If you try using another design on this side, the turret placed here won't shoot at players who land on your windmill, and from there they could start destroying your turrets, and that's the last thing I want happening. Now let's move to the side where we built the multi-TC. Here, we need to raise the frames 2 floors high, but there's a very important detail here. In this lower area, you must have 2 window frames, and pay attention, their soft sides must face outward. Without that, you simply won't be able to place the square ceiling in the center. Once you've placed the metal square ceiling, you can flip those window frames around. Once you place these roofs, your loot room inside the shell, the one with 4 large boxes, will have at least 2 walls protecting it from each side. Next, in this spot, you'll build a loot room for 2 large boxes. Make sure to do the same on both sides. These boxes should also store materials for base repairs, syringes, grenades, HV rockets, and so on. You'll see. Once you organize your base resources this way, you'll thank me later. After that, place embrasures, and with that, the shooting floor on this side is done. Now, add 2 stone frames here for stability. On top of those, place 2 metal triangular ceilings and then put triangle roofs on top of them. Once that's done, your uppermost shooting floor will be protected from raid towers. As the final step here, add triangle roofs all around the outer edges. Also, make sure to place double door frames in this area for extra stability. When you're done with one side, repeat everything on the opposite one. Now that both sides of the shooting floor are ready, it's time to build the anti-surge system, and it has to be done right now because later you won't be able to. Follow the foundation layout exactly as I show in the video and upgrade those foundations. Here, you'll have not only a combat spawn with the anti-siege system, but also a bunker-style loot room. Why bunker-style? Because 1 double door and 2 garage doors make 7 rockets total to raid, which is the same as a single metal wall. So technically, it's a door-based bunker that costs 7 rockets to break. I've been planning to make a separate guide comparing this type of loot room to metal bunkers. Not exactly this version, but similar. If you're interested, let me know in the comments. I might do it soon. Actually, scratch that. My next video in the middle of the month already uses it. So subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss it. Now, add this anti-siege system on the remaining 2 sides as well. Once that's done, your multi-TCS can no longer be raided easily. And even if your enemies manage to blow them up, they still won't gain anything from it. After all the anti-siege elements around your base are built, there's one final step left. From the center, place 7 square foundations forward, then add 1 triangle foundation at the end. Remove all the square ones and replace them with triangle foundations. Since this section isn't connected to the main base, it will decay over time. So I recommend making a multi-TC setup here right away. At least place 1 double door for now if you don't have many resources yet. Then move to the opposite side and repeat the exact same process. If you've started building this base and something isn't working out or feels confusing, you can always reach out in my Telegram channel. Either I or my helper team will make sure to help you out. And yes, when I say I sometimes personally reply and help people there, that's not a joke. I also post spoilers there for my upcoming base designs. For example, subscribers in my Telegram already knew about this base I'm building now a week and a half before the video release. And right now, there's already a teaser for my next build. That video's coming out mid-month, so all links are in the description and pinned comment. I'll be waiting for you there. If on the previous sides you needed 2 layers of window frames to place a square ceiling in the center, this side will be easier. That's because this entire shooting position is built from the same side where we recently made the auxiliary multi-TC. Still, you'll need to build loot rooms for 2 large boxes on both sides, because you never know when that extra space will come in handy. Those boxes might end up storing a lot of interesting little secrets. Finally, in the middle of this section, place 2 triangle roofs, then go to the the opposite side and do exactly the same thing there. Now that all shooting positions are ready, it's time to reinforce the base a bit. Since this design is focused on offline defense, we're going to add extra buffer walls here. Once you do that, your shell will have at least 2 walls on every side. But don't forget, the roof shooting positions also need protection. They're reinforced the same way as before. If you've been following the video guide correctly, you'll have enough stability everywhere. And to make the base look more complete, perform the same finishing touches I show in the video. That'll make your base not only more aesthetically solid, but also better protected, especially those roof shooting spots. Since the base is symmetrical, repeat the same process on the remaining sides. And you keep asking me why I don't build big bases more often. So over 30 minutes of voiceover for a single build. That's no joke. That's trauma for my brain. So if this video gets low views, I swear I'll cause a scandal. Actually, I'll just stop making big bases. That's all. Next, add a few more walls in these sections too. That'll make the base tankier and help against HV rocket splash. I've shown you one side, the others are done automatically. Well, through editing magic. Now, your drop loot rooms on the second floor inside the shell are protected by at least 2 walls on every side. And you know what that means. We can move on. Remember the first multi-TC we built for this base. It's time to reinforce it with additional walls. Because if you ever get raided, those multi-TCs are definitely what they'll try to hit first. As long as you can keep respawning in your tentacle TCs, your base isn't considered raided, and destroying a tentacle, that's not cheap. If you followed my guide up to this point, congratulations. You've basically finished the full external defense layer for your base. Normally, once you build these tentacle-style multi-tool extensions, random nakeds just stop spawning anywhere near your compound. Probably a game bug. Someone should definitely report that to the devs. Anyway, pay close attention here and make sure you do it exactly as I show in the video. In this spot, place a double door frame and install a door right away. If you leave it open, players could peek into your compound from the outside, but once the door is placed, everything's sealed off. Nobody's shooting through that. When you're done with one side of this tentacle, do the exact same thing on the opposite side. The boxes here can be used however you like. Personally, I use them as quick drop boxes. Don't forget to add ramps in the middle. They make it easier to shoot while crouched. Add a double door frame here and close everything up with ceilings. Now drop down a bit lower. We need to finish a few details. You remember this spot. It's where one of the entrances to the base was. You'll probably have it built the same way I do. Once you've placed all the doors, you can consider one side fully done. Now gather your strength and repeat everything on the other side. Yeah, I know, these tentacles are pretty expensive to build, but they're totally worth it. They provide way too much utility to skip. On the auxiliary multi-TC side, there's also a small peak toward the main base. You'll use it when enemies destroy your high external walls or parts of the compound. You can also shoot the occasional naked running by, though that's just luck. I don't add any extra buffer walls here. There's nothing crucial in this area, and it's very unlikely someone will raid you from this side, so just seal it with ceilings and move on. Here, as you remember, there's another combat spawn for 2 large beds. And yeah, beds are only one size. I got confused. The script's too long already. There's a pixel peek through the triangular hatch frame here. If you place the middle bed right, you'll get a perfect view toward the entrance doors. On the left side, repeat the same thing. If I didn't show how to place the beds on the previous side, here's your chance to see it clearly. That's how they go. Hope it's obvious enough. So yeah, one side's done. Now go build the exact same on the other one. Finally, it's time to place the high external walls. Build them as close to the base as possible. But to be safe, I recommend practicing placement in creative first. And if you need a place to practice, all my build server links are in the description. All the exterior walls are placed in the same way, since the base is completely symmetrical. Never recycle metal blades at the start of the wipe. You'll need a lot of them later, even though they can be crafted. Another important note, place the metal barricades in a way that they don't block the shield wall placement. Again, I strongly recommend practicing this base somewhere first. And before I go, huge thanks to this guy right here. This supporter contributes more than anyone else on my Patreon. If you've made it this far, drop a comment about what you think of the video, what you liked, what you didn't. I really appreciate that kind of feedback and always try to listen to it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out my other builds. And now I'm off to finish my new base in the open shell design style.